Hello, everybody, and indeed you, Matt Jarvis, Editor-in-Chief of Dicebreaker.gov.uk. Um, it
An educational site in
I
every
could never
regard.
resist. Dicebreaker.com. Welcome to another chilled Thursday painting stream. How are you?
Thanks for having me on, Johnny. I'm okay, thanks. How are you
Okay,
doing?
actually, I've had
Yeah.
a like an interesting week. The last few weeks, I've not been able to concentrate on anything even remotely to do with like the hobbies I like painting or reading, and I've had a sudden resurgence of being able to do things. So I'm really enjoying that, which is yeah, it's very very nice. Um,
Nice. I'm glad to hear
yeah,
that.
me too. To be honest, it's a bit of a relief, and I hope obviously everyone at home is doing well. Also, we've got who's in the chat: Revolver Rock, Sammy Kelsh, Blue Vendetta 64, Harry Good James Franklin in Felix Soror, Moddy Doo, Good Luck or a Quick Death, Jack Wood, Will Cornish, Veronica. I'm still not sure how to pronounce your surname, so I'm not going to try. Very sorry about that. Whale Puck, Nevermore. Uh, Jack Wood again, Kobe Morris, lots of people in the chat. There are about 127 of you watching. So with that, we should probably start painting some things.
Absolutely, and welcome
Yeah.
all. Johnny, what are you painting
Well,
today?
so I am painting. I've gone back to the Ossiarch Bone Reapers from Age of Sigmar. So I've got this guy on the go.
Ooh,
This is very early on in the painting stages. What I've done is I've base coated it black and then done a highlight of white from the top, dry brushed it. So actually, it looked like this, just very black and white and very high contrast. And then because this guy is mostly bones, I've given him a very brown wash, which hopefully you can sort of see there.
ooh,
There we go. And then I'm just going to start working on the bones and the armor detail today. These guys are really, really, really
nice.
quick to paint up, which is very pleasing because I've just been concentrating on getting models out there. Um, but what are you painting? Because I'm quite excited to see these.
Well, compared to your big old bone demon, I've got one small little
Hello.
waterbender. So I'm painting models from the Legend of Korra Pro Bending Arena board game. So there's an entire team, but I'm actually painting Korra
Oh,
herself
lovely.
today. Uh, I have actually attempted to paint Korra before, but it didn't go so well. I had quite a limited palette at the time of colours, so I've kind of reset her back to the base coat. But I've been Avatar: The Last Airbender as of late, so I've just been in the mood to kind of paint her up again.
Good.
So there we go.
I've never actually watched it, but a friend of mine has been trying to get me to watch The Legend of Korra for years now, and I do hear great things. I should just bite the bullet and give it a go.
It's really good. So it's for those who don't know, it's a Nickelodeon animated show,
Hmm.
and it's set in a world where certain individuals have the ability to bend the elements. So there's water bending, air bending, fire bending, earth bending, and then there are some kind of subsets within that. But it does a really great job. Avatar, which was the first series, there's 3 seasons of it. It's really interesting for what is ostensibly a children's animated television show because it deals really kind of directly with I guess, the impact of war on like individuals.
Oh
So
wow.
in the background of this entire television series is an ongoing war. And so you meet various people involved with it, and it gets quite dark, and it can be quite. It's not. It's obviously it aired on Nickelodeon, so it's suitable for younger viewers,
Sure.
but it definitely doesn't shy away from some of the aspects of war that are obviously impact real people.
Yeah.
But I think it handles it really really well, and the lore of it is really interesting as well. So the bending aspects are all tied to particular styles of martial arts,
Right.
although not explicitly. So there's some really clever things in the way that different characters and different aspects of bending reflect the type of person and the type of element involved. So I would recommend it. I am a huge fan.
Nice.
So yes,
Um,
that's my Avatar 5 minutes.
we've got
Everyone should watch
I've
it.
got a super chat to read, and then I'm going to ask you two questions. This is from Harry. I should really stop mispronouncing your username. I'm sorry. It says this is for helping me start painting minis. You are my only source of information on the topic, so all of my failures are on you. Good. And what a time for the kettle to start boiling in my house, creating a large shriek as I've come to realise that somebody's failures might be my responsibility.
Well, I think painting is one of those things where, like I said, with my Korra, I painted her a while back when I was first getting back into it.
Yeah.
And then, a year or two later, I've come back to her and gone, okay, I'm going to start again with the new knowledge I have and just go again. So
Nice.
every failure moves you forward. There's
Yeah,
no
exactly.
reason to feel like you're failing. You're just learning.
Yeah. That's a very good way of looking at it. Zanzibar White has done a super chat and says, Last Airbender had my favourite villain in fiction, Princess Azula.
Oh, she is unbelievably devious.
Amazing.
She's incredible.
Veronica asks, how does the pro bending game hold up? Because it sounds fun as a concept. I'm just scared it won't live up to my love of the show.
It's pretty good, actually. It's admittedly been a little while since I played it properly, but it definitely gets the elements of pro bending. So pro bending is the sport in Legend of Korra. And it's essentially kind of it's sort of sumo wrestling, but combined with the bending elements. Okay. So you're trying to knock the opposing team out of the arena.
Oh, okay.
But they also have discs, so the earthbenders throw discs at each other. Waterbenders such as Korra can use water that surrounds the arena. So it's really clever, but the game actually captures that really well. So you have a team of 3 characters, and they kind of battle it out. And so you have an earthbender, a waterbender, and a firebender.
Right.
But then there are elements where you can cheat. So the Fire Ferrets, who are the firebending team, or the Fire Nation team, they can cheat more than the other teams, but it comes with certain risks and so on.
Cool.
So it's really solid.
Nice. If you had to pick, what element would you bend?
I think I really like waterbenders, I think. Partly because I absolutely adore Korra as a character.
Right.
But I also think that my family, when I was growing up, they were all big swimmers. That's kind of my background, I guess, in terms of sports, is swimming. So I think it would also be appropriate to be waterbender. What would you bend, Johnny, if you could bend elements?
I suspect earth.
I can see that.
Yeah, just sort of... It feels a bit more like my general demeanour kind of thing. It sort of plays into the, if I were a fantasy race, I'd be a dwarf sort of thing. Like, yeah.
There's a subset of earthbending as well where they can then bend metal, which I think would actually suit you very well. Yeah. I can imagine you bending metal.
Yeah, I'd be into that. But no, we have no supernatural powers. We're just 2 men painting bits of plastic on the internet, which is no bad thing, obviously, but
not at all.
Yeah. Right, there's probably enough shading on this chat.
Our supernatural power is to withstand Lolisa's jokes week after week.
You know what? I don't know if her joke has come in. She's certainly not sent it to me, but fingers crossed. Lots of people are saying earthbending in the chat.
Earthbending is extremely good. Toph is brilliant.
I really ought to watch more things. I'm terrible at watching like any TV show or anything. Like I've been watching Kingdom recently, the kind of Korean sort of zombie original series on Netflix, and that is brilliant because it's really good political drama, but also just very good like tense horror. But apart from that, I just never watch things. Like I'm 2 seasons behind on Stranger Things. Am I 2? Feels like it. I'm at least a season behind on Sabrina. Like all of these things that I really love and I want to watch, but just never do.
I think nowadays there's just so much of it, and they're all 40 minutes to an hour long. It's one of the things I've been really enjoying about Avatar is it's 20 minutes.
That's true.
So it's easy to slot in around other things, whereas trying to sit down for 45 minutes to watch something is often a bit of a task nowadays.
Yeah. The other night I went to bed at 8 in the morning because I've been playing some video games with some friends, and then I was like, I'll play something else by myself, and then I did a bit of writing, and then I was like, I'll stick on an episode of Kingdom, and that turned into 3 episodes of Kingdom. So that was a mistake. JH has done a super chat, and it is an animated GIF of a Shiba Inu in what looks like a kimono, painting number 1 on a piece of paper and turning it toward the camera. Thanks very much, JH. That's
Thank
really
you.
lovely. Oh no, the shade hasn't dried because I applied it seconds ago. I don't know why I'm in any way surprised by this. Ew, waterbenders can do blood as well?
Yes, they can. Yes, that is an element that comes into play later on, and it is again. There are some dark elements of that
Yeah,
show.
sounds
Not
like.
to make this entire stream a Korra Avatar discussion, although that would not fuss me. But Korra takes place about 70 years after Avatar.
Right.
And instead of dealing with the war, it deals more kind of with more introspective issues of Korra. So Korra suffers at one point from essentially depression and mental health kind of struggles,
Right.
and it deals with those really sensitively. And I think, having been through similar things myself, that's maybe why I gravitate towards that series slightly more.
Right.
But again, it's handled really, really well. So.
Nice. Oh, we've summoned Lolies into the chat. Hello,
Aha.
hello, Lolies.
Speak her name and she shall appear.
And tell you a joke that sometimes you'll like and sometimes you won't. Has your joke come in yet, Lolies? I don't know why I'm raising my voice. Hello, Alex.
You're like David Lynch in Twin Peaks. Just
I'm worried about Coop. Look out, Sonny, it's gonna happen again. God, I love that show. Behind on that as well, I haven't watched any of the new stuff.
If you're not, what it is, it's something.
Yeah, so I understand. What a show, though. Lovely Twin Peaks.
Mm.
Once came third in a costume competition at a Twin Peaks cabaret. I was dressed as the one-armed man. So I was very warm because I was wearing a flannel shirt with my arm across my stomach. Which was pleasant. My wife came second, I think, in that self-same competition.
Oh wow. Was she dressed as Bob?
No, there was a Bob there.
Was it
though.
like a couple's costume
No, thank God.
competition?
She had a big bunny head on that she'd made, and she'd come as a bunny rabbit. I think that's a different Lynch reference. But I'll be honest with you, this was about 4 years ago now, and I still haven't summoned the courage to ask her. I mean, also we've had other things going on, but yeah, I didn't really know. So, yeah. Eric Franklin says, salutations painting peeps. And salutations to you also, Eric. So the Ossiarch Bone Reapers that I'm painting now are like a kind of new faction in Warhammer. And I think they've replaced the Tomb Kings because they have a very similar aesthetic. And basically people really wanted the Tomb Kings to come back. But I also feel like there was a sense of unease because cultural appropriation. So they've got kind of like... You can see on their armour that I'm sort of doing blue here. It's a lot of like overlapping plates with weird like bezels on it, almost like scarab images that are very... They're reminiscent of Egyptian kind of ancient Egyptian aesthetic without actually directly being that. It's kind of interesting. They're basically bone police, which is just very funny. Because they serve Nagash, the supreme lord of the undead, who is owed a tithe of souls by other people who serve death. But people have been getting lax about paying the bone tithe, so he's basically unleashed the Ossiarch Bone Reapers to be debt collectors. So, like, they're charging across the battlefield with these massive halberds yelling, "Where's my money?" It's pretty funny. And that's the lore behind them.
I was trying to think of a pun that would work, and the closest I could get was DRS, but that doesn't work.
I think it's pretty good.
Desperately trying to think. I think we've discussed this before, but when I was a kid, when I was into Warhammer, Tomb Kings were the army I collected.
Ah, yeah, you did mention.
And I think, obviously, at the time, I wouldn't have appreciated the cultural appropriation going on, but I think I partly enjoyed them because they were very easy to paint because they were skeletons, so I could spray them white and go, job done. And I partly, as a kid, was just big into mythology, so I think it was
big time.
a way of kind of indulging that a little bit.
Absolutely, you can absolutely see why they're so popular. And you look at them, you do still think, like, these are very cool. But
Hmm.
it's good that they've tried to sort of address it. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, you see people paint up these guys, and the colours they use are they're basically, their colour palettes are identical to the Bone Tomb Kings. But yeah. Also, I would never blame any child for being drawn towards something to do with ancient Egypt. I was fascinated by it when I was a kid. Like the Horrible Histories book on ancient Egypt, I read until it nearly fell apart. It's just wicked. Come on. How's everyone in the chat doing? Is anybody else painting while watching, or are you just having a chill time? I'm not sure why people are talking about Hearthstone, but a lot of people are just going, "Job's done," in the chat. Well, two.
Oh yes.
That sound is
Did you see
burning in my brain.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
carry on. Did I?
I was going to say, related to Warcraft, just on a, you may have read this on dicebreaker.com, but
Oh.
there is a small World of Warcraft board game coming out.
Oh.
So it's the board game Small World set in the World of Warcraft.
Oh, very, very clever. Interesting.
Which is, when you look at it, you're like, of course that makes sense. And then you remember that World of Warcraft kind of isn't a really big thing anymore. I feel like it's maybe 10 years late.
I wouldn't call it.
And even then.
Yeah. No, I do know what you mean. It's not quite the phenomenon it once was. But I guess it still has a big enough user base to make it worthwhile. Or, as a nostalgia trip for those who have lapsed as players.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm not a World of Warcraft fan. I was a big Warcraft fan back in the day, but I did look at it and think, oh, that seems cool. That's a neat little thing. I mean, I thought that Duncan Jones film was not great, but it passed the time, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't watch it because I never played Warcraft, but yeah, I remember the sort of buzz when the trailer came out and stuff. It showed promise in the sort of details. No, nor would I. But video game films are kind of a guilty pleasure of mine.
Likewise.
The Resident Evil ones in particular are just dumb fun. I actually think
You know
Silent Hill's
what? That
pretty
first.
Good, but
Yeah, I was going to say the Silent Hill one has a really good visual style to it. Like the story is obviously just completely like bleh, and actually that first Resident Evil film, I think when it was able to kind of have fun without taking its lore too seriously, there's a lot of fun in that.
Yeah, I agree. We've had a super chat from Will Cornish who says, "Not painting, doing Space Marine transfers, fiddly." There are quite a pleasing number of people actually who are working on hobby stuff while watching, which is nice.
Oh. Welcome.
Yeah, obviously nobody should feel pressured to do so, but it's nice if you are. Saw somebody doing Kharadron Overlords who are close to my heart. They're a Warhammer faction of Sky Dwarves. Oh, we've talked about them.
They
before.
have incredible airships.
Yes, they do. I've still got one I need to build and paint, but I'm terrified of it because I found painting the mid-size one boring. But maybe I'll just crack into it. Or my friend just got an airbrush, so maybe I'll just borrow that.
Ooh.
Yeah. I've not got one. I've not been tempted, but never say never really when it comes to hobby stuff. So I've not ruled it out either. Oh, another super chat. Jack Wood says, "It really annoys me that I can't ally the Bone Police in with the Night Haunt, even though they both serve the Big Dead Daddy. But anyway, hope you guys are doing well with lockdown." Thank you very much for your super chat, Jack.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's weird how they can't be allied together. Like, can they not even coexist under a Legions of Nagash army? Because I thought he could unite all death units, but I'm not sure. Oh, Lolis has sent us both a joke. I'm just going to finish this layer on this shoulder piece.
Okay, I might be able to open up mine.
Okay.
Alex Lolis. Oh yeah, okay.
Here we go.
Ready for this? What's the difference between a well-dressed man on a unicycle and a poorly dressed man on a bike?
I don't know.
Attire.
Oh, I like that one. That's very good. Okay, Let me just clean my brush. And let's see.
We should start some kind of ranking system for these jokes.
We apparently skipped a super chat from Ellie Mom. Oh, we did. Hello, you lovely lads, says Ellie Mom with a heart emoji. Hello yourself, Ellie Mum. Thank you very much for calling us lovely lads. Where was your joke sent to you on?
Sent over Slack. Yes. That bodes well.
I bought a ceiling fan the other day. Complete waste of money. He just keeps standing there applauding and saying, I love how smooth it is.
Strong week.
Yeah. People seem to like your one, or the one Loli sent you in the chat. Let's see what they make of mine when it gets to that. Obviously, the stream's on a slight delay. I don't think it'll go down as well. It shouldn't. Nothing quite like the painter's hum. I sort of hum when I'm doing a bit that's a bit fiddly, but not so fiddly I have to hold my breath. Zelos Makuzo has done a super chat saying, I'm working on my Mimic dice box made from scratch. That is cool.
Wow.
I love Mimics. They're just so funny. I don't feel like I use them enough. I've only ever used them once in D&D. And there's a group I occasionally run for, and I think it would go down very well, because they are... I mean, we're playing a Saltmarsh campaign, so they're rogues, so obviously... Well, they're pirates, sorry, so obviously they're secretly all rogues, even though I'm actually the party's rogue when I'm not running it and I'm playing in it. But if I put down a treasure chest, they would run straight for it, so if it was a mimic, that would be ideal.
The chat is dividing itself into
which joke?
Team Attire and Team Fan. Hashtag Team Fan, hashtag Team Attire.
I think... It looks... Revolver Rock says, is that a hint for tomorrow? For tomorrow's Oxventure stream? No, I was talking about a different D&D group. Sorry. I'm on Team Attire, personally. Just because it's a very, very good pun. But
so yeah, I'm a bit of Team Fan. I just love a real good, like, dumb joke.
That's how it ends, Matt. We always knew it was going to come
it's
to
like
this.
Something that always destroys me is I think in the original Naked Gun, it might be in one of the sequels, where Leslie Nielsen is searching for a drawer, and he just goes, "Bingo," and pulls out a bingo card, and it's one of those things where it's like you write that on paper and it wouldn't make it past the first draft in most writing rooms, but they just stuck with it, and because they stuck with it and his delivery, it's just
amazing.
Brilliant.
I mean, also, if there's anyone that's gonna deliver that joke well, it's gonna be someone like Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah.
Secret Arrow Gaming has done a super chat saying, just finishing up creating my first ever D&D character for a campaign tomorrow. Tell us about your character. What's their tragic and or sexy backstory? Everyone's got one. Stuart Badminton really enjoys an overly elaborate joke. That's right up my street as well. I've told some of my favourite jokes to Lolies and Wheels, and they have just pretty much every time just said, "That's not a joke." It's like, okay.
I feel like Stuart Lee is maybe one of the masters of just like very long jokes that they will run for about 20 minutes and they're not outwardly funny, but they just have this aura around them of like slowly building.
Yeah. To that release.
It's the 100% pear cider made of actual pears, or is it 100% actual pears? I don't know. I'm absolutely butchering this joke. But if you've not seen that routine, you should go and watch it.
I'll have a look.
It is genius.
The guy I went to school with used to love telling jokes that lasted for 20 minutes and went nowhere. And there was one about like the little green man that keeps burning down the church. Like there's a vicar who's, they've just fixed the church roof and they have a ceremony to open it, and then it burns down, and he sees a little green man running away. He chases him, but he can't catch him. And basically, they rebuild the church roof, and it happens again. And this time, he chases him again, gets a bit further, and he would just tell it over and over and over again, being like, the little green man got away in the river, or on a bus, or blah, blah, blah. And eventually, the vicar catches him and walks in, finds him in a pub, and walks up and goes, "Are you the little green man who's been burning down my church every week?" And the little green man looks up and says, "No." Which, that took maybe a minute to tell, so it's kind of, it doesn't hit you that hard. But when this is the combination of 20 minutes of basically the same chunk of story repeatedly, it made me want to scream. It really did. Ooh, 2 super chats. We've got another super chat from Ellie Mom that says, "I'm working on a D&D character as well, a shadow monk." I don't think I've ever even seen a monk be played, let alone a shadow monk. And Patrick Burke says, "Thank you, Dicebreaker crew, for getting me into Deadlands. I didn't know it existed, but learned the system and ran a game with some friends, and they absolutely loved it. Yes!"
Oh, great.
I'm running a game of Deadlands this very evening, actually. I have acquired a second Deadlands campaign to run outside of work for a colleague and an old colleague and some of their friends. So I'm very excited. It's just more spooky, good, fun time. Fun, spooky time.
Spooky good fun times.
Spooky good fun times.
Put that on the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've expressed this on camera already, but I had not played Deadlands before we played the new edition for the YouTube channel, and I enjoyed it very, very much. I can see why it is so popular, and particularly so popular with you, who continues to always be in a Deadlands campaign of some kind.
Yeah, it's weird. I hadn't played it in years and years and years, and then there was an RPG night in the office, and I was just like, I can run Deadlands, and then we had so much fun, we decided to turn the one shot into a campaign. And then suddenly, a friend who I ran a campaign for years ago was like, "We should do that again." I said, "Fine." Before then, when I've been playing some as well recently, before then I hadn't touched it in easily 5 years. It's funny how these things kind of go in cycles.
Mm.
What else are people saying? An old Revolver Rock said, "An old colleague, Ian." It's refreshing to be involved in an ageist joke that about which I'm not the punchline, to be honest. Blue Vendetta 64 is currently getting a group together for a one-shot of Deadlands, and we'll see what happens. Yes, please. Nice. How is your miniature coming along?
Yeah, okay. I'll just finish the shoulder plate and I will show it off to the camera.
Cool.
I've basically, so the pro bending gear that Korra's wearing is kind of a white, I guess underdress of some kind, and then red pads, sort of like American football pads, I suppose.
Oh, cool.
And then she is conjuring water around her.
Nice.
So I'm just at the stage of trying to paint up the pads on top of the white base, and then they're also edged with yellow. So I'll get to that in a bit. But, So yeah, I'm kind of at this stage where I've managed to do her main body. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, I routinely get very intimidated. Sarah Lynch asks, "Is the Korra figure Mako?"
Sorry?
The Korra figure Mako? Like Mako?
No, it's Korra.
Oh, it's Korra. It's Korra herself. There you go, Sarah. Looking forward to running Deadlands for you later. What was I going to say? Shoe polish. Nearly swore then. What were we talking about? We're talking about... Oh, that's it. I get a bit intimidated when characters wearing white clothes. I find it quite hard to make white look good.
I think that was actually one of the things I struggled with Cora the first time that I painted her is it's a little bit off-white, but I've decided to just go with white because I think trying to mix up a very slightly off-white color is tough.
Yeah.
Because as soon as it dries, it's like, oh, that's not the white that I meant. And if you get it slightly wrong, white is really hard to cover and bring back.
Justin Hughes has done a superb chat and asks, hey, love the content and love the Ox Venture. Excited for tomorrow. Thank you very much. Have you seen Critical Role's gameplay of Deadlands? It was a cool first look. I have not. I'm going to level with you here. I've never seen a single moment of Critical Role. And I think part of that is just that I want to keep what I do separate from that. So I wouldn't want to sort of, delve into it and start watching and just have people being like, oh, look at this. He's just, cribbing off them or whatever. So although that means sometimes I've done stuff and people have been like, oh my god, is that a Critical Role reference that you've worked in? Like I had a villain called Vex, and apparently that's a character from Critical Role who is to do with animals somehow. I'm not sure, but yeah. But to answer your question,
I have also never seen Critical Role. To be honest, I don't really consume that much board game media or tabletop RPG media. I think again, part of it comes from the job. Is particularly if I'm reviewing stuff, it's like I want to make sure that my opinion is kind of my opinion.
Yeah.
And like you say, to make sure that even subconsciously I'm not cribbing off of something that somebody else has done. But I know that Alex Meehan is a fan of Critical Role. And actually, speaking of Critical Role, we have an interview of Matt Mercer on the site.
Yes, we do.
Which Alex Meehan wrote up about his process creating, Wild Mount, and Tal'Darai. Again, I am not the Critical Role expert, so I don't know how it's pronounced, and I'm not even sure if that's correct. But it's the two worlds that Critical Role is set in, the two seasons. So if you're interested in Critical Role, head over to the site.
It's for you. I saw somebody earlier say what books are good for getting into Deadlands. You're in a sort of a weird point right now. I mean, the Savage Worlds Explorer edition is the latest edition of the rules, and that is a very good. In my opinion, it's the best iteration of the rules, and that's the rule set. It's the system that Deadlands runs off, so you'll need that either way. You can get that and start prepping, but the last edition of Deadlands was Deadlands Reloaded, which came out 15 years ago. Next year, is it next year or is it late this year? I can't remember. A new edition is coming. The Kickstarter has just closed, but they're accepting late pledges. So, to be honest with you, I would consider waiting for that. But if you are raring to go and you want to dip in now, it's absolutely Deadlands Reloaded is the one, I reckon. Although some people prefer Classic, or even Deadlands GURPS, or any other things.
I think Deadlands is out this year in PDF, maybe next year in print.
That's right.
Although, again, everything at the moment is a little up in the air.
Indeed.
Concerning when things will actually be available. So.
But I would be surprised. I would certainly be surprised if Deadlands as a PDF got delays, because from what I've seen of the book, it is pretty complete. And they've sent through, because they sent a preview copy and they just keep updating it with more stuff. So they're clearly working feverishly away at it. So that's a good sign.
Are there any other RPGs you're particularly excited for this year, Johnny?
Upcoming ones? Not off the top of my head, to be honest. I feel like at the minute I've there you go. The chat says October, November this year for Deadlands.
Cool, thank you, chat.
No, off the top of my head, I can't even think of any. It feels like all sense of space and time has become so warped lately that no, I can't really think of any. How about you? Oh, there's Kids on Brooms, isn't there?
Oh yeah, I'm really intrigued about that. As listeners of the Dicebreaker podcast will know, I've been playing a Monster of the Week campaign, which my friend cooked up, which is set in Hogwarts after the end of the 7th Harry Potter book. And it's really clever. And I'm not like a huge Harry Potter fan, but I think what he's done with that system is really smart. So when you cast spells, they can get glitches and they're permanently attached to them. So if a spell goes wrong, it's then wrong all the time. So there's some kind of side effect potentially. But a Kids on Brooms is very much we made a Harry Potter RPG, but please don't sue us. It's legally distinct. And so I'm curious to see their take on it. I think Kids on Bikes is very light, so I don't know how deep the spellcasting system will be, or whether it will be a kind of very loose kind of thing. But yeah, I'm intrigued, and I'm amazed someone hasn't done something like that already, because I can't really think of something along those lines.
Nisansa de Silva has done a super chat, thank you very much, saying, I shared that Dicebreaker article in a Critical Role group. People over there loved it. At least 91 people as of now, lol, with a smiley face. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
And Hello, I'm Duke N has done a super chat, which is Shiba Inu screaming, Hiya! Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Here's part of the reason I really like these miniatures, and they're really quick to paint, is that these edges accept a dry brush like you wouldn't believe. So you can, oh god, you can actually see, it's like the camera's playing ball this week. Just the sort of lighter lines on the blue. It's just,
Johnny, that looks great.
It's so easy. It's just a dry brush, and you just run it back up the armor, so it's kind of come out looking like that. It feels like
very, very good.
Feels like cheating, but as a friend of mine who has a fine art degree said to me recently when we were painting, he was like, "There are no cheating techniques really. It's just if it feels like cheating, cool, but don't beat yourself up about it," which I think is nice.
And again, like, you're ultimately painting for yourself, so
yeah.
Who are you cheating at that point?
Exactly. Stuff them.
Yeah, cheat away.
The question is, do I now, because I'm going to layer some of the same highlight colour over the rest of the skeleton. Do I do that by dry brushing, which will be very, very quick, or do I do it by layering, which will be potentially... Let's start with a dry brush. Why not? Why ever not?
I'll be honest, dry brushing is one of those things that intimidates me, so I don't do it very much. Because in my mind, I just see myself slapping a big old bit of paint straight onto the model and ruining everything I've done.
The way I sort of taught myself to do it, because I was exactly the same way, and I actually found that more often than not I would do precisely that, is just building it up very slowly. So controlling exactly how much paint is going on your brush. For anyone who doesn't know what dry brushing is, you get a very small amount of paint on your brush, and you get a kitchen towel, and you basically wipe it off on the kitchen towel, which sounds counterintuitive. But what it means is there's actually a very small amount of paint built into the bristles. And the way I test to see if I've gone overboard is I get my thumb like this. And you see like where there's a seam on the knuckle there. I give it a little paint, and if it... Basically, I dry brush my own thumb. And if it picks up... You can just about see there. It's a very light colour, but if it picks up the edges of your thumb without filling in that crease, then that's suitable, basically. And then the rest of it is just going in and... Oh, crap, he said. Building it up very slowly, like being very, very gentle. And just running the bristles along to the hard edges, basically, to pick them up.
Nice. That's a very handy tip. I will have to give it a go. I feel like the water surrounding Korra could probably have a nice dry brush on it.
Yeah, I'm sure that would pick it up nicely. It's probably got some like hard edges, right?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of the ripples in the water.
Nice.
So.
Pleasant. Seems quiet without Wheels just yelling at us for having opinions on things. Sorry, that was a bit catty, wasn't it? He's on holiday this week, taking some finally taking some well-earned rest.
Yeah, good on him. He's earned more than earned it.
Yeah. I've never met someone who's so opposed to the idea of just taking holiday.
Have you met yourself?
Technically, I suppose I have, yes. Damn. Oh dear. Oh, that's why that looks weird. Oh, I'm dry brushing with the wrong colour. Whoops. That's annoying. Ooh. Will Cornish says use corrugated card instead of kitchen roll and you'll be able to see when the paint is ready to dry brush. That is smart. I had not considered that. That's a very good tip. There you are. Ooh, gosh. Zephyr Sword says, how big are your piles of shame? I've got some death card that have a light coating of dust and cat hair staring at me, not to mention the minis waiting to be assembled. My pile of shame is large. I have probably 40, 80... I've got over 100 Skaven models to paint.
Oh my
It's
God.
a horde army. Like, I've already painted over 100 of them. What else? I've got... In the Carriage and Overlords, I've got that big ship, and then another 6, 7 infantry dudes to paint up. And I've actually decided to sell one of my Age of Sigmar armies. I'm selling the Nighthaunt lot, because I realised I'm never going to finish it, and having it is making me sad. So I don't consider that to be on my pile of shame. But maybe I should.
See, I got out of proper full-on miniatures a while back. I think partly because I ended up in a job that required me to play more board games.
Yeah.
And so time was limited as it was. So my board game pile of shame started to grow. But also because I didn't have room for a lot of them, which is why I tend to paint, as folks will know if they've watched a few of these streams, why I tend to paint board game miniatures, because I just find that personally I end up using them more, and it means that I don't have to have a separate collection that sits there and stares at me.
Yeah.
But I've definitely been tempted by a number of miniatures games. That new Infinity I've mentioned a couple of times that Wheels is checking out, that seems very, very cool. Also, Test of Honor, which is like a samurai skirmish game.
Oh.
Was very tempted to pick that up. Also because the game itself seems very kind of interesting mechanically. But I don't know who I'd play it against is the other issue, because I don't know anyone that already plays Test of Honor.
That's always the kicker. And I think unless you find a friendly local war game club and find other people who play that game, then you can run onto the rocks there and sort of find yourself with a bunch of minis and no one to play with.
Unfortunately, my closest equivalent to a hobby game shop, at least where I live, rather than where we work or would usually be working, it's a bicycle shop, and every, I think, Friday and Saturday, if you drive past opening hours, they are sat in amongst all the saddles and bicycles and so on, just playing Magic the Gathering. They just have Friday Night Magic in the middle of this bike shop. And so every time we drive past, we kind of crane our heads to try and see if they're in
See
there.
what decks they're running. That's fun.
It is really sweet that it kind of doubles as a nice way for a group of folks to get together and play Magic.
Yeah, there's a brewery not far from me that basically opens up its tap room once a week. Well, in theory, to be a wargaming club, which is nice. It's where I play a lot of Warcry. Even though I play it against my friend who lives 2 streets over, it's just nice to go there and sort of get a pizza and have a pint and just sort of play amongst other people, because there are always people playing D&D over there, or some people playing Necromunda or anything really. Although a few people have been like, I'd love a demo game of this, and I've been like, ha ha ha, oh no, because the idea of teaching someone to play a Warhammer game terrifies me. And also that feels like work. So I've just been quietly putting them off. I hope they're not watching. Emmy Little has done a super chat saying, I've learnt and started painting miniatures because of you guys. I find it very therapeutic. But I don't understand how to make a wet palette. Very, very simple. A wet palette is the following components. It is a takeaway lid from, I mean, I used to use this as a normal palette, so ignore the paint on there. It's just a plastic takeaway lid, and then that is a couple of pieces of kitchen roll that I have then soaked in water, and this is greaseproof paper. You just get it on there, you smooth it on top once the paper's wet, and because this is just ever so slightly damp, it stops your acrylics from drying out. What you can do, instead of doing it on the lid, is line a Tupperware with kitchen roll, get it wet, put the greaseproof paper on top, and then if you just put the lid on, it'll keep for days and days. So you can just say that's enough now, close up your palette, and a few days later you can come back and you'll still be able to just paint. And that's handy in terms of not overusing paints, because acrylics can dry out very, very quickly, especially in hotter weather. But also I find it allows me to keep better control over the paints on my brush, because it ever so slightly sort of smooths them out, and it makes them easier to sort of to get to the right consistency and control that way. So yeah, it's well worth a go. The first time I used one, I was like, I'm never going back, basically. Wheels was the same, because I made him try it, which was very rewarding. It's like getting a child to eat a vitamin and then they discovered they love vitamins.
The trick is to just make them those juicy orange ones. They're always the best vitamins.
Chewable, like, what is it, synathogen type ones. Other vitamins are available. When I was a child, we had Slimer Ghostbusters chewable lime flavoured vitamins. They were little balls. And I remember more than once sneaking into the bathroom to have one. So, sneaking away to have a vitamin.
Here's a random vitamin-based bit of trivia.
Here we go.
Which is a sentence I don't think I've ever said before, and I don't think I'll ever say it again.
I'll never say never.
I think I have No Such Thing as a Fish to thank for this, which is a podcast from the folks that behind the QI questions and answers. But apparently, vitamin C doesn't make you see in the dark. But the reason that it is a common myth that it helps you see in the dark is that during the war, I believe it was British planes, at some point they were able to equip radar, which then made them much more effective in combat. But in order so that the enemies didn't know that they were equipped with radar, they basically came up with this propaganda that the reason that all the pilots were suddenly very good at spotting enemy combatants was because they were eating carrots and therefore able to chase them in the dark.
It's just amazing.
And it's just stuck since then.
Yeah, and the Germans actually tried it. They tried increasing the amount of carrots their pilots were eating, which is very interesting. There's some fascinating stuff about like deliberate misdirection and espionage and stuff during times of war. Antony Nelchev says that's vitamin A in capital letters. So that's us told. Emmy Little has done another super chat saying thank you for the advice. Now for pet treats. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will give Watson a treat later. She has learned what she is able to tell from another room when I am cutting cheese. Like, she just knows what the packet sounds like, not farting. She does enough of that herself. She comes running. I'll be about to put cheese in something, and she'll just be like, chop, 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 chop. And she'll appear at the baby gate that keeps her out of the kitchen and be like, hello, you rang? It's very funny. She was a proper madam this morning, actually. She went out into the garden, and sometimes she's afraid to do it. We don't know why. But she went out into the garden, she went to the toilet, so I gave her a treat to kind of try and, reinforce the idea that garden good, not holding in, toilet, also good. And she rejected the treat. She was like, no. Just basically looked at it and went, which is her noise to be like, this is unsatisfactory. And basically she wanted me to go to the cupboard and get a better treat out. And I was like, absolutely not, Watson. Like...
See...
Yeah.
Holly is very much a pampered puss, I believe you would call it. In that we started putting one of the pillows on the arm of the sofa for her to just sit on. And now she will walk up to the end of the sofa and basically meow at you until you put the pillow there that she's then able to sit on.
Tremendous.
Which, in fairness, gives me a great deal of pleasure because when she sits on the pillow, she looks like she's being served up, as if like presented on a silver tray. But is not so fun when you've just got a cat yowling at you, particularly if you're on, say, a call for work or trying to record a game or a painting stream.
Ah, well, it's all fine. I was on a call today with some training, which was fun. Learning about a new work system, and the lady presenting it was a tremendous presenter. But I think her dog might either have allergies or fleas, because that was an itchy dog. Could just hear every now and then just like the telltale scrape of claws on collar. It was very funny. But when I'd not long had Watson, she managed to, over the course of one call that I was leading, she knocked over an entire container of food and tried to eat herself silly. Then she did poo, because in fairness, she was in training, so she did it on the pad, which was great. It's where she needed to do it. But she didn't really understand what poops were at that point. So if you didn't get rid of it, she would sort of investigate it. And then she chewed through my webcam cable.
Oh
I was
no!
like, thank goodness she's gone quiet. And then people were like, your webcam just dropped. And I was like, why is that? And I looked down and she was just there like, just chewing through the whole thing. So
Wow.
That was trying. It's very annoying. Oh, la. Black Sarlacc says I had my first D&D one-shot last Sunday. It's not a one-shot anymore, though, because we accidentally derailed and continue next week. You brought me a new hobby, so thank you for that. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. You brought yourself a new hobby, friend. I do like it when people discover things through Dicebreaker, though. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I think because in video games journalism, like, people have already heard about games and they're looking for more detail on the thing they already know they want. Whereas I feel like we've got more of an opportunity to help people discover stuff they've not heard of yet, which I find very pleasing.
Absolutely, I think that's one of the things. Obviously, that's part of why Dicebreaker exists. But the board game industry, that we were obviously both in the video game industry before, is challenging on our side because it's often very hard to know what's interesting, and to a video game you can watch a trailer and you can get a very solid idea of what something is by watching a trailer. Because like, oh, it's a first person shooter, or it's a strategy game, or it looks like this, it's a third person RPG. Whereas with board games, even if there is a trailer, and often there is not, because it's just a very different world, just seeing a load of components fly about the place is very hard to understand what it's like to sit down and play. I think obviously like a big part of Dicebreaker is the ability to sit down, or for us to write up our thoughts and be like, okay, this is what it's like to actually play this with a group of people that you're friends with. Because board games can make such a huge difference depending on who you play them with, but also like how many people you play with or what you choose to do. It's not like a video game where it's like it's you and the game. It's a whole table of people, and it's like, does this kind of conjure up the right discussions? Does this make people laugh in the right way? So it's an often challenging world to be in, but I think that's also why it's so exciting to be able to help people out.
Yeah, I mean, we all do get very excited when we find a game that is very good. You know, it's like this thing, we've all got to play it. Like, I need everyone to try, XYZ. Like,
Point salad
was brilliant. Like, when we played it, basically, I think it was the video team played for a Let's Play, and then we came out of there and we were like, everyone shut up, we're going on lunch, come here. And we all played Point Salad, and it was the same with the crew, and like, it's just nice to get excited about these kinds of things. I missed a super chat there, I think. Noah Wiren, I hope I said that right, I'm very sorry. Hi Johnny, just wanted to thank you for sharing your thought records back in March. First I've heard of it, so I created my own version, and it's helped me loads. I'm really glad. I find it a very useful coping mechanism. It's kind of for those who don't know, like a thought record is kind of like an adapted thing from cognitive behavioural therapy, which helps you sort of recognise when you're going to have a panic attack and try and bring it under control. It's useful. But yeah. What was I going to say about board games? Oh, and Andrea Cazzola says, thank you for the chill stream. Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you.
I've got to say,
thanks for watching.
I do bloody love these streams. I wish they were every week rather than us alternating between watching and playing and watching. Not playing and painting, but at the same time, we were just talking about discoverability, so, you know. The flip side of the coin, obviously, of us not knowing if a game is going to be good or not from just a trailer, is that sometimes people will walk into a room to play something they're really excited about, and about an hour later they'll come out just being like, no! And those are crushing, because you're like, oh no, I wanted you to like that, and I wanted to like that. And you just hear people... It's funny, it's like... People talk about finding a board game disappointing in the office as if they have just played a game of sport and the other team was cheating and they got absolutely creamed. Like, I thought it was going to be this, but it just wasn't, and it was terrible. And it's like, oh no, come here. I've cut an orange up. Here, get some electrolytes back on board.
I think there's a bit more investment required, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have to, with a lot of, and again, it's partly what we do, but there's an element of it's you driving the game. You have to learn the rules.
Yeah.
So there's like the upfront investment of you've gone through the book, you've learned these rules. Do they pan out on the table?
Yeah.
Whereas video games, you can just boot something up, and within about 5-10 minutes, a lot of the time, you've seen everything there is to be seen.
Yeah.
Whereas with board games, it can be 10, 20, even 30 to 60 minutes of learning rules and kind of imagining that in your head, but then
Trying.
that often doesn't reflect the experience.
Yeah. It can be challenging. But then, like, there's a game, we mentioned it on the podcast, which is out tomorrow, and the Let's Play is coming next week. We filmed a Let's Play for a game called Bullet, and just reading the rulebook on that one, I was like, this is great. This is a winner.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that game. Probably going to back it on Kickstarter.
I genuinely think I may do too. Again, that was, like we were saying, that was one of those things where reading the rulebook, it was like, okay, this sounds good, but is it going to be good?
Yeah.
And then as I was playing it with Alex, me, and another friend, and as we were playing, it's like, oh, is that a slow realization of like, oh, there's really something here. It's like the first couple of rounds, it's like, okay, what am I doing? And then by the time you've got everything under your belt, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting really invested in I'm sliding these bullets around, I'm making these patterns, I'm chucking them over to Alex. It's a real good one, I think.
I like it an awful lot. Alex is also very good. There were points in that game where I was like, I'm toast. I shouldn't have. Why did I come here? I'm gonna get my ass handed to me. But yeah, that's a good one. I think that one's gonna stick around for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Maleficent Ruler has done a super chat asking, ever play any Call of Cthulhu or its variants? I'm just starting to GM Delta Green for my group. I've played Call of Cthulhu. I haven't played any of the others, although I own a copy of Actum Cthulhu, which is the World War II, you're all investigators in World War II, but also Cthulhu game. But you're more experienced in Cthulhu stuff, right? Like, you love Trail of Cthulhu.
Yeah, Trail of Cthulhu, which is, it's kind of based on Call of Cthulhu, not system-wise, but definitely lore-wise. So it's the Lovecraftian thing, but it's a much slicker system. It's 1d6, but it was kind of created. So it runs on the Gumshoe system, and it was kind of created to Call of Cthulhu when it came out in like 81 or whenever it was. Is very much of that age. It's like a percentile system. There's a lot of dice rolling. Also, the combat is really unforgiving.
I always consider it going to be a slow decline into failure.
Yeah, which, suits the theme. But I think the frustrating thing about it is there are elements where it's like, you're rolling to discover a clue. And it's like, but we're investigators. We would just know this stuff. We would find
a clue, yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Trail of Cthulhu does. So you have points in certain traits, and if you know something, you just know it. So it's like, you look at a vase, you've got a point in antiquities. So it's like, of course you know what that vase is. You're a master of antiquities. So yeah, I haven't played loads of Call of Cthulhu, partly because it always just seemed a bit too crunchy. But I love Trail of Cthulhu, and I love Lovecraftian stuff in general. To be honest, I like Arkham Horror, which is obviously based on Call of Cthulhu. I love Mansions of Madness, Eldritch Horror. I'm big into. I think Sarah as well. They're like the resident
Yes.
cosmic horror.
Spooky game Noah.
Hmm.
They of the arcane knowledge. Ellie Mum has done another super chat saying, by the way, this stream is calming me because I am super freaked. My 6-year-old daughter just started school this Monday. Oh, I hope she enjoys it. I can understand her
Yeah.
trepidation, because those years are scary and turbulent for anyone, I think, whether you actually end up having a good time or not.
My wife works in a nursery with quite young children, so I think there's no reason to. Obviously, you'll be nervous, but the people there, like from all experience of them, they care maybe more than, well, not more than any other profession, but they care an unbelievable amount, particularly at the moment, seeing the other side of everything that's going on and the lengths that everyone involved is going to make sure that kids are kept safe, but are also able to keep up their education.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't be in a safer pair of hands, and your daughter couldn't be in a safer pair of hands.
I think it's safe to say that, yeah, like it's such a tricky thing to have to manage. Like, I think a lot is asked of teachers at the best of times, and so right now it's unbelievable the amount of pressure they're being put under. But again, they do it because they care, and I think that's lovely. There was a good question from the Spiddles. I love co-op games. My other half prefers player versus player. Can you think of any board games that are in between?
Betrayal at House on the Hill.
House on the Hill is a great one, and that is
Starts out as co-op, and then it becomes a traitor.
Yeah. What else?
I mean, there's a whole kind of subgenre of like semi-co-op games. So like one versus many. So if you're, sorry, was it their partner? But whoever, if one player wants to have an antagonistic element to them, they can play as the overlord kind of figure, whereas the rest of the group can play as the people working together against them.
Yeah.
So things like, I think Nemesis is one versus many. That's kind of like an Alien-esque. One person plays. It's basically Alien, the board game. But in that, one person plays the alien and everyone else are survivors trying to work together. Original Mansions of Madness does that as well. Doom, I think, does that.
Fury of Dracula is another one, because that's got hidden movement. And the On the Brink expansion for Pandemic, one player is a bioterrorist and they use hidden movement in that as well. Which is kind of an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking a bit of a gamble on these wings. I'm not going to lie. Because on the you see on the base of this dude, he's kind of coming out from a weird fountain of ghosts, like weird spectral stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But then up here, there's kind of all this webbing in between, and I could do that all to be the same colour so it's ethereal, but I love the idea of it being flesh that's not rotted off yet. So I'm going in red, and I'm going to darken it down with lots of washes. But I'm slightly afraid it's gonna look crap. So that's the risk I'm taking. Anyway,
It'll pan out.
I'm just gonna wash it several times with Agrax Earthshade, and then I'm gonna just edge highlight it with the same red again. I think it'll be fine. It'll all be fine.
Yeah. All right, I think I'm getting there with Korra's armor. So, gosh, I always feel, just like baby's finger painting after you present yours. It's like, here's the Picasso, and here's like the stick figures in a field. But Korra's armor is coming along.
Nice.
So I'm going to try and edge it in yellow before I then do the...
Sick. Edge highlighting always scares me, especially on armor. Like I think part of the reason I've never. No, it does. It scares me. Part of the reason I've never gone in for Space Marines and stuff is that I see people with these incredible like bits of Primaris armor or whatever, where they've just gone around every single panel and done the little edges.
Oh
I
god.
just think, how, like, to what demon did you make a pledge to get this to work? Okay, that's working. It's drying quite a dark red. Okay, good, fine, vindicated.
Gosh, we're halfway through already.
Wow,
Time flies.
I was absolutely convinced I was going to have this chap done by the end of the 2 hours, but that ain't happening. But oh well, it's fine. I've got a Zoom painting date on Friday with a couple of friends. We're just gonna get the paints out and just have a natter rather than playing video games.
I would say these streams are just, well, hopefully for everyone in the chat as well, but they're just the kind of perfect thing to just be like, okay, just take a breather, just chat away.
It is nice and chill. I should, you know, we should really just build up a stock of royalty-free lo-fi beats and have those on in the background. That would be nice. Although I did put some effort into the graphics this week. They're not visible yet, but previously, when the stream has ended, we've had to go back to the holding screen. But that erroneously says the stream is starting soon. So don't feel like you have to stay for the next 54 minutes, everybody. But all I gotta say is the thanks for watching page is pretty special. So look forward to that. Not often I tease the end of a stream I'm on.
You're gonna love when we're not here anymore.
Hang in there, everyone. There's under an hour until we leave.
Oh gosh.
Is it encouraging noise?
Oh, just these edges.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
But I do think this is looking much better than my first attempt at it, so
good.
I think the first attempt was a bit more slapdash. I mean, I'm not the most studious painter ever, but I think it was, like I say, it was one of those things where it was early days, I was still finding my feet with getting back into painting, which is still kind of the case, but it's satisfying to go back and be like, oh, I've improved.
Yeah.
This is a marked change.
That's always really nice. Like, I've not dug out any of the first Skaven models I painted, but I really ought to, just to remind myself of sort of how far I've come. But then would come the horrible temptation to just throw them all in a bucket of Dettol and strip the paint off and start again. That's a scary prospect.
Oh, it's very satisfying, although terrifying to add this edge, because it just neatens up everything else. It's like, oh, this looks instantly better because there's just a divide between these two things, and I've just put my finger in a bit of oak brown.
Oh, no.
It's fine.
I know what you mean. It is very easy to just go, I'll just leave that bit. But pushing yourself and going for that extra little bit is lovely. It often makes such a difference. Are you listening to anything much at the minute?
So speaking of chill lo-fi beats, I'm listening to a lot of those playlists. It's just like, I just need something to shock away in the background.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of, but I'm really enjoying the new Fiona Apple album because I absolutely love Fiona Apple. Yeah. I think The Idler Wheel is one of those albums that it's one of those things where it sounds over the top, but I remember listening to it and being like changed as a person, just being like, oh, I'm having like a real emotional reaction to this. I don't know whether it's because it came at a certain time of my life as well, but there was kind of a lot of upheaval and so on, but it was like, it really sticks in my mind as one of those albums that I will listen to forever and always connect with. But her new album is incredible. I mean, she is a real talent. So I've been listening to that. I've been listening to the new Laura Marling, which I like very much.
I've still not listened to that yet.
is, again, she is just. It's one of those things where it's like you think of Joni Mitchell or Bob Dylan in the 70s, and it's like that level of songwriting ability.
Yeah.
And Laura Marling is absolutely there.
God, yeah.
So,
I remember the first time I heard her music. It was when is it Night Terror? The song where she's like, "Fight me." Um,
I don't remember.
it was years ago. I was still at university, and shillings were still accepted as currency. Laura Marling, I wake up. Yeah, Night Terror. It was like her first single, and I think Apple made it like the free song of the week. And I was listening to it. I was like, "This is amazing." I looked up just how old she was, or how old she wasn't, because she is only.
I think she's only just 30 or something like that, right? She's quite young.
Yeah, she's 30. She was born in 1990. So I guess at the time she would have been 16 or 18, probably around 16. I was just like,
Yeah.
wow, how is she such an incredible talent at this age? And she has just proven herself to be consistently brilliant, like just unstoppable, really. Because sometimes you get people break out at that age, and then stuff gets in the way, and I don't know.
Yeah, they just kind of fade away, or they have their peak.
But not Laura Marling. This is welcome to Dicebreaker. It's now a Laura Marling fan stream.
It absolutely is. I know that Alex Meehan is.
She is.
Absolutely loves Laura Marling. I say that on the people who you listen to and you're like, oh my god, Let's Eat Grandma are a fantastic band, and I believe both the people in that band are 17 years old, and their album is incredible. It's like easily one of the best albums of last year.
I've not.
Kind of this very slow, moody synth music.
Yeah. Kate O'Sullivan has done a super chat and says, "Thanks for the chill stream. Hoped you liked the sonnet." I did. I'm so sorry I requested a Petrarchan sonnet. I deliberately did it just to be annoying. In many ways, I should not be allowed near the internet, and yet here we are.
But what have you been listening to, Johnny? Other than obviously chamber music and accordions and sea shanties.
I've still been stuck in a bit of a Richard Dawson loop, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you for introducing me to him. His album is very good. His latest album,
it's
I believe.
Lovely. Yeah, 2020 is the latest one. That's great. The new AJJ album's brilliant as well. But recently, I've just been hitting up the Spotify like daily mixes, and listening to a lot of like anti-folk or folk punk, which is good fun. Because it's just like, it's songs where, sometimes they deliberately sing out of key or whatever, but they've just got really good wholesome messages, and sometimes really messages where you're like, oh wow, and you just don't expect them to come out with something like, urine is more powerful than words when used on a prison warden and stuff, and you're like, oh geez. But it's oddly wholesome while also challenging sort of your perception of things at the same time, which is fun. But yeah, to be honest with you, I've been feeling a little bit musically uninspired lately. I feel, when you feel like you're just listening to the same old stuff time and time again, kind of looking to pick up some new things. But maybe the new Laura Marling is absolutely the way to go.
I would definitely recommend it. That and Fiona Apple back to back. They're both emotionally raw in a lot of ways, but the talent is just incredible. I will say I'm very excited. So there was the announcement of the new Tony Hawk's the other day. And on the same day, there was the announcement of a new Run the Jewels album, which I'm also very excited about because I adore Run the Jewels.
Also, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, the soundtrack to that was phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely looking back, it's like, so much of my musical taste just comes from this mix of hip hop. Like, I think Johnny Cash is on Underground. I think Ring of Fire's on there. Joy Division's on there. And then there's things like Jimmy Eat World and your kind of punk. It's like an incredible soundtrack. It was
properly formative. I hope they license all the same songs, but I doubt they will, which is a shame. But I just saw somebody... Ash F says, for Twisted Folk, please try Tongue. That's a tongue tattoo. I have seen them live several times and signed the marriage register to one of their songs, actually, when I got married. They are a band from, I want to say, Sheffield or Leeds sort of way. And they do lovely twisted folk songs with like some electronica bits in there. It's brilliant. Like one time I remember a song of theirs called Jenny Again was used in a phone advert, and it was just an instrumental version. It was people walking in the fields being like, Vodafone can give you all these minutes if you just sign up now. And Jenny Again is a song written from the perspective of a murder victim to the man who killed him because they were embroiled in a love triangle. And it was just like, oh, sent a shiver down my spine. Oh dear. Oh, apparently they said they licensed a lot, so they didn't get all, but Rage Against the Machine is definitely in there, which is good news.
Oh, so it is the original soundtrack.
Seems like it.
Or inspired. I believe I saw someone say there was Papa Roach on there.
Perfect. Oh yeah.
I can't admit that I'm a huge Papa Roach fan, but hey,
why not?
Is there Smash Mouth? That's all I need to know.
Need.
Not that Smash Mouth was on the original, but put Smash Mouth in Tony Hawk's. Hashtag Smash Mouth Tony Hawk's.
Hashtag Smash Mouth. I can't say it.
Yeah, this is where it begins.
The fight back starts here.
Yeah.
Simon Ragg has done a super chat trying to tear us back on course to talk about tabletop games again. Hi guys, thanks for your tips on running a D&D session in a previous stream. It's helped me loads to run a campaign for friends during this lockdown. I'm glad. You know what? It really feels like the perfect time to get people into pen and paper games. I'm playing more than I ever thought I would, and I play a lot of them anyway. So yeah, it's nice.
It's been a real silver lining. And obviously not to trivialize what's going on at all, but it's been one of those distinct silver linings where everyone is at home, so I've been able to play with friends across the internet more so. I think because you forget when you're trying to organize in real life that you can do it over the internet. So we just we would play a couple of times and then be like, well, everyone's busy, we're all in different places around the world or around the UK. And now it's like every week we have a Monster of the Week game on Saturday. We have a quest game on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's really lovely to just hang out with people that I love to bits and not have to worry about the scheduling aspect of it.
It's definitely made that a lot easier by making people more available. Part of my selfish hope is that, because I love pen and paper games, so I often prioritise them in my calendar anyway, but quite rightly, other people have stuff on. It's made me hope that other people are gonna sort of be keen to make time for them, even once things have gone back to normal. But yeah, it's again not to trivialise anything, but it's an interesting time to be playing RPGs, I think. Oh, Kate O'Sullivan said a great idea. Those in chat who are painting, shall we get a digi-thread of what we've created going post-stream? Feel like sharing the things as well as doing them. That's a great idea. Why don't we could do a tweet from the Dicebreaker account.
Yeah, let's do it. It'll be really nice to see what folks paint. I think it's one of those things where I'm not a great painter by any standard, but hopefully, just showing people where it's like, oh right, it's like that's achievable, or like, that's something to aspire to, or that's how you could paint this. I think it's a lot easier when you have something in front of you rather than a blank canvas miniature, which can be super intimidating, speaking from experience.
That's an update on the wing. Hopefully it does look
wow.
Just gobbets of flesh. It's all quite flat at the minute. And the red I've used is quite pink, so I'm going to have to try and gritty that up a bit, but it's getting there. Yeah, people are keen, I think, to share stuff. So I will... I've painted an X on the back of my hand to remind myself to do that tweet after the stream, so people have a bit more time to work on what they're working on. Obviously, other crafts are very welcome. So if you're crocheting something, or if you are, studying or
writing something, drawing something,
even if you have just finished a large bag of crisps, we want to see. We don't want this to feel exclusive by any by any means. There we go. There we go. I don't know about you, but I'll be painting something and I'll be really struggling to reach a bit with my brush, and then after about 20 seconds of trying, I'll just remember I can rotate things because they're 3D objects and I've got hands. I always feel completely stupid when I do it, but I'm like, oh yeah. Or if I rotate a miniature and realise I've missed painting half of the stuff. That's another good one. Zach RSP says, what about homebrewing? Can we share that? Yes! Paul Lamprey asks, have you ever painted any Hot Wheels for use in the game Gaslands? Not yet, but I've got some on my shelf which I've had for well over a year. I can't wait to play Gaslands. It took one of my local Warhammer clubs by absolute storm. People were like, shut up about 40k, everyone shut up, get some Hot Wheels. And everyone for a brief period was just was playing Gaslands non-stop.
It's really genius. Just because again, it's that thing of like getting into miniatures games. You often feel like you have to invest up front for a load of, In Gaslands, it's like, well, you can get that book, which is I think is pretty reasonable. It's like 15, 20 quid, something like that. And then you can just find some cars, pick some up in a charity shop or borrow some off a
passing child.
Snatch them straight out of their hand.
Dicebreaker does not officially condone stealing from children.
Unless you're also teaching the children to play Gaslands, in which case go full ahead.
They chase you around the corner. Give me back my cars, they say. Only if you play Gaslands. Sorry, no, you carry on. I was just being an idiot.
Thomas Loveridge, have you looked at the Age of Sigmar RPG Soulbound? I have not personally, but we will have a review very shortly on dicebreaker.com. So stay tuned for that.
I would like to have a look at that. I've never tried any Warhammer role-playing.
I believe this is the first Age of Sigmar tabletop RPG, but I think there's Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which I've never played. But from what I understand is a bit like Call of Cthulhu and whatnot, in that it's a crunchy D100 system, I think, a percentile system.
God, yeah, D100 systems. They're hefty. Dan Keller, sorry, says there was an old Games Workshop board game, boxed game that was similar to Gaslands, wasn't there? There was.
Oh yeah, they re-released it recently.
Gorka Morka.
Gorka Morka, that's the one.
I think it's on Tabletop Simulator as well, which is interesting.
I think the new version plays a bit like X-Wing, and that you use templates. I can't remember if that's how the original played or if you used proper rulers and whatnot. But I believe the latest version of it just uses templates that you can slap down, so it's very quick to get around.
Gaslands does the same thing, I think, where it has sort of templates for manoeuvres, which I think is just super smart. And again, they're all in the books, you can just print them off, which is very good. Ronnie says, D100s are spheres and you can't change my mind. You posted a picture of a D100 recently, didn't you? Have you got
I did. Yes. Funnily enough, it wasn't stolen off a child. My wife, who teaches a kid at school, bought it for the kid at school because he's big into numbers. And so obviously with everything going on, it found its way home for the time being. But it fascinates me because it's like a cricket ball with numbers on. It's just bizarre. I mean, we discussed this a little bit on the podcast, actually. Even a D20 at points feels a little too granular for my liking. Yeah. Like, it's fine, but I'm a big fan of, 2D6 systems or... Thank you. So this is it, for those who have not seen. It is just a ball.
Yeah.
It's so spherical. And when you roll it, it rolls like a ball. You can just roll it across the floor and it will keep going and keep going and keep going.
That's odd.
It's just...
What did you roll?
An 8. That seems par for the course, given my rolling.
I'm a big fan of just using 2d10. Using percentile dice. That feels more fun to me.
Yeah, I would definitely go for 2d10 over a single D100.
I've increasingly started just rolling a D100 to work out how many of a thing happens in RPGs. Like
That
recently
seems like a
on
cool way of using it. That's a neat idea.
yeah, like recently on the Oxventure, Egbert chugged some potion that was made of a bit of him. And so I rolled a D100, and basically he farted out like 36 tiny versions of himself.
I think going for quantities is fine. It's where you're like, how well did I succeed at this action? It's like, what's a 59 versus a 58?
Yeah,
That,
yeah. No, I'm right there with you. It does feel. It just feels very crunchy. It's like that's fine, but I don't want to be chewing on an RPG. I want to be playing one. I can remember the first time I played Call of Cthulhu, I spent a long time being like, I think I'm doing this right. I don't really. And all the thresholds and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah. Curious business. Speaking of the Ox Venturers, what level are they currently at? 5? 7? 7? I don't. I don't remember. They'll know. I think they might just be level 5. You know. It is time to level them up. It's just finding the time to do it. I did say I would level them up this week, but it might be too late now. Level them up after the next one. It's fine. You didn't hear anything. Everyone shut.
Moddy Do says, have you seen the Iron Sky RPG with D1000? Yes, I have. There is a fantastic thread from Grant Howard, an indie RPG designer, kind of going through that system. Boy, howdy. If a D100 was overkill, D1000, it almost seems like satire.
Yeah.
But it's not. Again, like what's a 998 versus a 997?
Right, exactly.
Just unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Ash F has a soft spot for D10s, saying, my first D&D character used a poleaxe with D10 damage. I don't like D10s, really. I like rolling 2 of them for percentiles, but as dice to chuck on the table, I weirdly don't trust them. Like, I don't trust them and I don't trust D8s. I just don't trust them to roll properly.
I think I said this maybe in my introduction video. D12 feels like the perfect amount, but in some ways I'd rather roll 2d6 than d12. So therefore you're then back down to 2d6.
Yeah. See,
because there's a satisfaction in rolling doubles that you don't get on a d12.
True. But D12 is the highest die type you can have in a skill in Savage Worlds. So if you pick up a D12 in Deadlands, it's a big deal. And I remember my character died and I came in with a new one, and nobody in the party for some reason had throwing, so I had a D12 in throwing and a D12 in shooting, but I had to throw something, and the GM was like, roll throwing, and I picked up a D12 and they went and it was just like, yes, I am the legendary man with a good throwing arm. And it just felt massive. So but yeah, D8's not a fan.
Tech Noir says, I think I'm the only one, but I love D4s. I gotta say, don't love D4s. They don't roll.
They don't roll.
Just
they
land.
Splat. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not rolling.
Oh, there seems to be there's a fair D4 contingent in the chat. I mean, let's not dice shame anybody. All dice are acceptable, but I think there's just greater satisfaction to rolling some dice than there are others.
Yes, I mean we're not dice shaming anyone, but to be clear, if we were, D4 lovers would be the first ones we'd go for.
No, D1000 lovers.
Yeah, sorry, I take it all back.
I do want to see a physical D1000 with 1,000 faces, and you have to pull out a tiny magnifying glass, like a monocle, pop in the monocle and examine the D1000.
Like a jeweler.
I doth declare this to be a 402.
That is a critical fail, my lord.
Oh, can you imagine rolling a D1 or a D1000 on a D1000, given that it's a 1 in 1,000 chance?
I think if I were making a D1000 system, if you roll a 1, your character just dies. That would just be the rule. Like, nah. Angel Beat says, hey, D4s make for amazing caltrops. That is true. They are the third sort of cornerstone of the pyramid of pain that is Lego, British plugs, and D4s. The most painful things you can stand on. Good God. British plugs, eh?
See, I don't mind British plugs because when they're plugged in, they're good and stable. The problem I have with I think American two-prong plugs, right, is they always feel a bit like they're going to snap off.
Yeah.
Like, going to PAX and whatnot over in the US, it's like I'm plugging this in, but if I nudge it, is it just going to break off both these prongs in the plug and cause some kind of sparking terror in the wall?
Yeah, although the voltage is lower, I suppose, so vaguely less terrifying. But really, we're splitting hairs here when we're talking about horrible, electrical accidents. Harry Gatita says D4 are the superior dice, and then all in caps, come taught to see what you rolled, mortals. That's another thing. D4 manufacturers cannot agree on where the numbers should go. Are you reading the top one or the bottom one? It depends. The miniature ones, you have to read the bottom one. They're a whole pile of nonsense.
It's got to be top though, because it breaks the logic of dice. Because every other die you read the top. You don't read the bottom of a D20 when you roll it.
Exactly.
So it's top all the way.
Yeah. Emma Benton says most things in the US are like one power surge away from an electrical fire. That's comforting. Kate O'Sullivan says deja vu to a conversation about plugs that Johnny was having with Aoife in another stream back in the day. I don't remember that. This is the weird thing about working in journalism and having all of your work still on the internet. Sometimes I will come across something I've written or something I have made as a video, and I do not remember doing it. I came across a video on YouTube recently because I was looking for something else to send somebody, and I watched the whole thing and I was like, don't remember that. Just do not remember that at all. It's vaguely terrifying. It's like I have a doppelganger out there who's doing my job for me. But then I'd probably remember that because then I remember skiving off work. But hey ho. If you had a doppelganger, what would you get them to do for you? You can't say work.
Wait, does the benefit me?
Yeah, they'll go do something and do it to a level of excellence that they can't tell that it's not you.
Does exercise count? Are we kind of like linked? They can just spend all day in the gym. Meanwhile, I'm just buffing up while I sit at my desk.
I don't think you're that intrinsically linked. They could earn you gym points, so you could swan in with a towel.
Just reward points.
Yeah, and they'd be like, "Wow, Mr. Jarvis, your technique has really gone downhill since yesterday."
Tell you what, they could grind in Persona 5.
That's a
They
good
can
one.
just skip through all the boring bits.
Nice. What would I get mine to do? I'd use them for social engagements where I know I have to be there but don't want to go.
Oh, that's pretty
Which
good.
would be
yeah.
most of them. You're like, oh, birthday drinks. Well, it would mean a lot to them. I'll send the doppelganger.
The question is, this is kind of getting into sci-fi territory. Are they created with your memories and so on, or do you have to train them to be you in social situations? So could you create a more, I don't know, a doppelganger tuned specifically for social engagements? They're terrible at everything else, but they're a fantastic conversationalist. Ooh. Because in that case, maybe I would train them to be very good at quiz TV shows.
I don't know. David Fanani has done a super chat saying, in your Dark Souls 3 Let's Play, you had this exact conversation and told a story about a bit of vandalism you'd forgotten doing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I stumbled across a tube poster that had been defaced and was like, "That's funny." And my wife went, "Johnny, that was you." Not that I'm admitting to vandalism, but yeah, that was quite funny. Uh, what the thing is, okay, so going back to the question, I think I wouldn't want them to be better than me at being a conversationalist, because then people would expect more of me when I actually do go. There, I don't want to improve on myself. Not that I'm saying I'm perfect, obviously, far from it. I think they would just have to be created with my memories for social situations, because I've known a lot of my friends for a very long time, all the way through university and you know beyond. I mean, I left university over a decade ago now, so that's a lot of history and a lot of tangled webs. Um, so they would just have to instinctively know, especially for the people I pretend to get on with but don't actually like, who are manifold. So yeah.
All right. I think we're getting there with edging.
Yeah.
There's a couple of messy edges I need to touch up, but
Oh, get in. Oh, it's amazing.
oh, thank you.
That's awesome. It's like I thought you were going for like a really tiny, like, again, like the Space Marine armor thing, but that's really bold. And you're right, it does completely. It makes it into a complete like garment rather than sort of block colours.
Have,
Good luck or a quick death. Says, I have a twin, and when we were younger, we looked exactly alike. They were good at reading and social sciences, and I was better at math and science. We would switch classes for tests.
wow.
That's huge. That is brilliant. I've got a lot of respect for that. What's. Did Johnny just say he hated me live on air? Said Lowlies. No. Oh! What, are you one of the people I pretend to like but secretly I don't? No. No, I like you, Lowlies. You're fine.
Wow.
I like the whole Dicebreaker team. Is it me, or did it just get more silent?
Just gonna
in
let
here?
that hang there.
I.
So convincing.
Uh-oh. Was that bad? I mean it. I love this team. I think it's full of nice people who I enjoy spending time with.
I think one of the things that other than the fact that everyone is very funny and decent folk, and kooky as all that, is that I feel like the team is very good at just being straight with each other.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is where we're at with this, or like, okay, this went well, or this, could be better.
Yeah, I think that's nice.
And I think part of it's part of the job, right? It's like you just want to be constantly making things better as a whole.
Yeah.
But
No, I agree. It's refreshing to be able to sort of speak your mind and say that kind of stuff. Wow, the chat is really doing me dirty here. They're saying that like I meant it, that we should duel, that I'm backtracking now because I've been caught out.
you should duel, for
Are
sure.
you kidding me?
I mean, Lowlies would destroy
Yes,
you.
she was the #1 fencer in Ireland. That's no.
And I'm not, to be clear, I'm not saying it because I want Lowlies to destroy you.
Sure.
But I remember Lowlies taking on Wheels in Star Realms, where Lowlies had an unbelievable amount of experience playing Star Realms and Wheels had never played before.
And she was merciless. Listen,
Lowlies is one of the loveliest people I've ever met, and her stringent refusal to play cooperative games or to cooperate or even to cooperate in cooperative games, as we found out in Betrayal, amuses me to no end. It's like, I'm going to be the traitor, I'm going to kill you. It's lonely, we haven't triggered the haunt yet. No, but I'm going to kill you.
oh god, it's very funny. Oh, yeah, it is. It is genuinely one of my favourite things. I mean, why bother showing mercy? Wheels can take it. It's fine. Here we go. Come on, Johnny, you can take any Irish fencer, surely. I really can't, Titan Uranus. I really can't. I did fencing for about 3 weeks when I was a child, and I loved it, but I don't think there was actually a club near me, so I didn't keep it up. I did karate, so like maybe I'd be in with a shout if Lolies wasn't allowed a sword. But to be very clear, if we were to fence, I would be dead. Speaking of Lolies and swords, Wheels had played before, vis-a-vis Star Realms, and I'm sharpening my sword as we speak. So that's great. The first day back in the office, Matt, you and I are going to have to come in full plate. But then she'd probably do something ingenious, like kick us over and then just put a sterno stove underneath us or something. Slowly cook us. It's like a welcome back lunch for everyone. I never thought
We should play.
Carry on.
No, sorry, I was just going to say we should play Dune at some point.
Yes.
Because that game is merciless.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of diplomacy with sandworms.
Loli says, I can kick myself in the face. I will take you on, Johnny. I'm not trying to start a fight with you. I was just saying that I would have more of a chance of living if you didn't have a sword. So... Can I still kick myself in the face? I mean, I don't think I could ever kick myself in the face. I can kick above my own head. Don't know. There's more of a stomach there than there used to be. So I don't know about kicking myself in the face. But anyway. Emma Benson says, I want this duel to be a members-only video when the memberships get launched. Oh no. Well... Sure. I mean, like... I spent 4.5 years working at Eurogamer, and then I left, and I kind of assumed that my days of worrying that I was going to be murdered by an Irish woman were behind me. And yet, here we are. Sammy Kelch says, Dice Breakers, please try not to die. We'll do our best. How about that? You know, we can but try. I'll try not to get murdered by lolies anyway. Oh, that's a good point. This is what the Dopplegangers are for. That's a good point.
Oh, right, just competing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really dark. So we just create doppelgangers of ourselves and then compete.
Send them into duels.
Send them into battle.
Yeah. It would be... I mean, it is dark, but it would be worth it for, you know, the look on Loli's face. If I walked into the office, she was like, I killed you. I bundled you into the sea. It's like, yeah, well, good morning. Can we have a meeting, please? All right. So I've filled in all the red on the wings. Now I need to sort of wash it to dull it down a bit more. And give it sort of darker edges. And then I think I'm going to give it a little highlight. So
nice.
I won't finish this in the next 17 minutes, but... Oh, crap! Nearly knocked it on the floor. Good. Good times. I won't finish this, but it'll be close, I think.
I've just noticed the time, so I'm just gonna quickly, I feel like by the end of this I need to have the water at least blue, so I'm gonna jump ahead to that.
Don't rush
Because I feel like I'm getting there with the model. You know, I'm not up to your standard by any mark, but I'm getting there. But it just looks weird without blue water.
I know what you mean.
So...
A lot of the time, to be honest, I'll be painting something, and I'll just be really unhappy with the way it looks. I'll be like, I don't think this is any good, and then I'll realise I've just been focusing on a few areas, and there's just one bit of it that's still white, and the second you put base colours on it, you're like, oh, I get it now, and you can see it as a complete thing. and it makes it a lot easier to carry on.
This blue is not coming out the way I'd like.
Okay. Where's that bit? There we go, there it is.
It's ultramarine blue's looking a bit light for my liking.
You could always just wet blend a bit of black in there.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I used to be quite afraid of blending colours. I was like, but what if I can't recreate the shade? Now, I'm just like, yeah, I'll mix anything. Throw some coffee in there, why not? Oh, crap. There we go. That's better. Mattress757 says, I just browsed briefly through Facebook only to be promoted a game called Doppelganger. I'm not even joking. Goodness me.
It's the algorithm at work. The internet sees all.
It's always listening.
There have definitely been times where I'll be speaking to someone in person about something, and then a random Facebook advert or what have you pops up, and it's like, that was the thing I was just talking about, and it's always really disconcerting.
Yeah, it's very, very strange when that happens. Although, the internet still hasn't worked out that I'm married. Just before our wedding, my wife was getting endless targeted ads about wedding stuff. I started getting a massive influx of dating websites. And a lot of them were very specific, which was odd. It was like, hey, do you want to date Asian women? Do you want to date like vegetarian born again Christians? It was like, what the hell is going on here? It was very odd. So
yeah,
that's always given me some measure of comfort, is that it just didn't work out that I'm a married man. Or maybe they just think I'm a crap husband, or I'm inattentive, or they have nothing to sell me, because clearly the Warhammer's going so well. Desperately trying not to spill this pot of shade. I already spilled it once this week and lost about.
That sounds like a euphemism.
So,
for like saying something nasty about someone. I'm desperately trying not to spill this pot of shade all over them.
All right, I'm gonna spill the null oil on this one.
It's like the opposite of spilling the tea.
Yeah. Preserving the shade. Here we go. Facebook has finally stopped nagging me to become a cop and now wants me to become a chimney sweep.
Wow, it's a career change.
That is a career change. What have they been Googling? Cleaning up dirt?
Crime.
Soot is a crime. So technically it is in certain places. Like you're not allowed to. You can only burn certain wood in London. You have to burn smokeless logs. Soot. It's a crime. Call now.
Oh, I'm Officer Gentleman. I'm here with the soot division. Someone's burning smoky logs. Actually, Smoky Logs sounds like the name of a detective.
Yeah, I'm Smoky Logs. Talk about nominative determinism, eh?
She walked in, soot up to here.
She had soot from here to ya. The first time I saw her, she blew me away. It's still my favourite thing you've ever said on a Dicebreaker video. I'm looking forward to the day where we get to do more Spinebreaker, because RPG Worldwide Wrestling is so much fun. It's just tremendous.
Yeah, I think that was very close to lockdown. Actually, I think that was one of the last weeks we were in the office.
It was.
But it was what a way to kind of see each other off
Yeah, my goodness.
for at least a little bit.
Yeah, that was one heck of a day. Okay, here we go. More shade. 10 minutes to go. All right, we'll get a ways into this. It'll be fine. Sweet Monkey Tuesday, which again I think we can all agree is the greatest username ever. Sweet Monkey Tuesday says, is it? Oh no. Are you allowed to be a chimney sweep if you don't have a terrible Cockney accent?
No.
No, that's it. That's the other.
That's the law. That's what the soot police police.
Yeah. They root out secret Etonians who are slumming it while they work on their novel.
Oi, 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 what's all this then? RP? I don't think so.
You're going to receive some punishment. Well, it's good to know if we ever fancy a career change, you and I can collaborate on a gritty crime drama. That would be nice. Come on, let's have a little dab of shade. Get that on there. Okay. There we go. Alright. Wings shaded. Everyone can do a terrible Cockney accent. I suppose that's true. Doing a good Cockney accent is harder than doing a terrible one.
I am a big fan of just... And I mean, we are as guilty the other way around as anyone that's seen our Deadlands, and in fact, Worldwide Wrestling videos will know. But just impressions of British people that immediately forget that Britain is more than Cockney London from the late 1800s.
Yeah,
I just love it.
Hello, mate.
Every British, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The cavalry's here.
Oh my god! Cheers, love. Lovely Tracer. What a dafty. Is what's his face? The scientist. Is it Sigmar? Is he British? Or am I imagining?
I don't know actually. I haven't played much as Sigmar in Overwatch.
Yeah. Nisansa de Silva does a super chat and says, but a chimney sweep with RP would be super funny. There's nothing funny about crime, Nisansa. Nothing funny about crime. Right. That's that. What colour are we going to make this spirity base? I might make it very dark blue. Or just... Oh, I've got a technical paint. Sod it. Let's just do that.
Spirity base? 2, 3, 4. Spirity base.
There does... I mean, I love these streams. There does come a point where you're just saying... Like, people just end up saying whatever comes to mind. I also find, and this is really weird, that when I'm painting on these streams, I talk differently, and it makes my throat hurt. So by the end of the 2 hours, my throat is in agony, and I don't know why. I don't know what it is I'm doing. But
paint fumes.
Lovely drink your paint water. Non-toxic paint fumes. Oh, Sigma's Dutch.
Ah.
There we go.
That makes sense. I don't think they have any heroes from the same country of origin, I believe.
Yeah, true. Anonymous says the accent of Yetalag from one of the Oxventures was interesting. There was a time we were doing an Oxventure in Boston, and so I called a character Jetlag, but, you know, I was like, Yetalag.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just a horrible... I tried to do, like, sort of Scandi, and it just came out like a weird bastardized Welsh. It was not good. I used to be able to do a really good Scandi accent, and I can't anymore, apparently. I promise I was able to in the before times.
It's always the worry as well, where it's like I love languages. Like I find different languages really fascinating to just like I did a lot of languages while I was at school and university and so on. And like, I love accents because I just love the way that different words can be pronounced and the way that letters go together.
Yeah.
But it's always that worry of it will slip into, oh, you're doing this for laughs, or you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it slips into offensive rather than it's like an honest, sincere attempt to do something.
Yeah. I'm very, very. I try to be very careful about the accents I do on camera. Well, and in general, to be honest, it's not like I'm doing horrible ones behind the scenes. That's not what I mean. But I just find like, yeah, it's. I never want to be offensive, and if people are laughing, I want it to be because I'm struggling with an accent. You know, like I've gone too deep on trying to do a Geordie accent, and people are finding.
Yeah, they're laughing at you, not
the accent. Yeah,
not the accent.
Although, so the D&D campaign I mentioned before that I'm playing in, when I ran it for a week, they acquired a new NPC and I made him Welsh. And my Welsh accent's all right. Like, it's not. I wouldn't say it's offensive, but it's not great. But when the GM came back, he had to try and do a Welsh accent, which I thought was very, very funny. He has an incredibly deep Irish accent, like incredibly strong. And wow, it was a wild ride. It was incredible. I felt quite bad actually. I was like, I shouldn't have forced him to do a Welsh accent.
There is actually a Welsh character in my Monster of the Week campaign.
Ooh.
I am not playing the Welsh character, but it's a very good Welsh accent.
Good.
I will say. And the GM is Welsh himself.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess if he's.
Although at one point this led to, so the character I'm playing is a conspiracy theorist who has developed a list of things she doesn't trust. And at some point, the gameplay strung out into I rolled very poorly. And so the Welsh ended up on the list of things that she doesn't trust, which was like, oh, good, you've turned my character into a racist.
Oh, no.
A Welsh racist.
My same friend who is running this D&D campaign, doesn't matter what the game is, all goblins are from Brooklyn. He's like, I don't make the rules. That's just it. They're all goblins are from Brooklyn. Be like, hey, you guys, blah. It's like, oh wow, oh no, it's a goblin. It's quite fun that if he busts out a Brooklyn accent, you're like, ah, it's a goblin. Oop. Da-da-da. Doing the old patented painted on, wipe half of it off technique.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm painting very small leather straps for these old birds.
Oh no.
Which is why I've gone very quiet, because I'm just shaking.
That's one of the dangers of a painting stream, isn't it? Everyone just goes quiet while they're trying to work out how to get something done. Okay, I'll need to work on the blending of that, I think.
Hello, Hole. Yeah, nearly dinner time. See, the cat's got a really poor sense of time. She normally gets fed around 6:30, but from 5 o'clock onwards, roughly, she'll just walk up and go, meep.
Aww.
Right.
What? Was that her?
No, that's me.
Oh.
That's the noise I make to her.
Oh, okay. Aww.
Listen, shall I bring her up?
Yes. Ask a silly question.
Here's Tolly.
Aww.
She probably won't meow when she's being held because she's just needy.
Yeah, that's fair.
So she loves to be held. Don't you, little puss?
I had a Watson in here earlier. She's gone. Oh well. Oh, she's so sweet.
Alright, gonna go down. Okay. Straight back again, huh? She also has this habit where her tail just vibrates.
Oh yeah.
So she'll just walk up and be like, "Rrr."
Yeah, Scout does that as well, and it kind of starts at the base and goes like all the way up. It's very strange.
Oh, good, now there's cat hair on my paint. Well, I deserve that.
Wee.
Oh god, it's all in my brush as well.
It's fine. We've got a minute left anyway. So
My art, Johnny, my art will be affected.
This is where I've got to. That blue is going to darken down as it dries. I'm going to maybe try and dry it, but that is... I can't remember what this guy's called. He's like an archi or an archi or something. but it's a bony lad with a big halberd. So yeah, not too
All right.
bad. I'm quite pleased with that.
Here's where Korra's got to.
Oh, nice. Yeah, again, look, you colour the water, and suddenly it's like, oh, I can see where all the bits of the person are.
Yeah,
That's
she
great.
needs a bit of, I think, touching up just to clear up some of the edges and whatnot. But I'm pretty all right with
Well,
that.
given we were only going for 2 hours, that's pretty decent, to be honest with you. So
Thanks.
let me check the master stream doc and see if anyone else is streaming right now. That's yep. Streaming doc.
All the secrets revealed.
I know.
Behind the scenes action.
Well, we had so many people who've been like, "Can you please stop overlapping?" Oh. It looks like Outside Extra is streaming right now and have been for about an hour, I guess. Go to youtube.com/Outside Extra. I painted an X on my hand. I'm going to tweet from the Dicebreaker account being like, did you paint something? Show us.
Or write something, or stitch something,
Yeah.
or draw something.
Whatever you've been up to over the last 2 hours, send us pictorial evidence, as long as it's legal. And with that, I teased this almost an hour ago, but here comes the new, we've finished streaming graphic, so you can all enjoy that.
It's the end of the stream you've all been waiting for.
Thank you all very much for watching. We've had a lovely time, and we hope you have too. Dicebreaker will return tomorrow, but there's lots more for you to watch, and indeed stuff for you to read on the website. So everyone, stay safe and have a lovely rest of the evening, and check this out. Bye!